Good morning, everyone. Take me a minute to get set up here. Excuse me. Got a bunch of packages sitting back here that have stacked up over the last really just few weeks, maybe month and a half. Not quite as long as it's been since I've done a live stream, but still been piling up back there for a while. So I'm going to pull those out, start unpackaging them rather than doing a unpackaging video for each one like I normally do. I thought I would just do it right here. If you're in the chat, say hello. Hello, Professor. Glad to have you with us today, sir. Okay, hopefully I have that, excuse me, hopefully I have that chat set right. Let me know if there's any problem with the sound or you're seeing everything okay. What have you been up to, Professor? I hadn't seen one of your videos in a while. Trying to remember now, what was that last video I watched? I commented on it. Hello, Peter. Peter Jackson, I believe this is your first time with us. And if I am correct, are you the same Peter Jackson that is new to the DependableFlame.com Facebook group? If so, glad to meet you a little bit more personally. Cool. Thanks, Professor. He also says had a surgery and kids have been out of school. Oh yeah, that's me. I've been busy with my grandkids a lot, with a couple of them, which we've talked about that several times before. There's a couple of them that I babysit on a regular basis, and then I've got 3 others too, and made a trip down since the last time. Well, since the last time we did a live stream. I may have only had 4 the last time we'd had a live stream. So now there are 5. And my son, who has those 3, they have since moved a little bit further away. And we made a trip down there one evening to see them. But summer, so we've had birthday parties where we see everybody too, all that kind of stuff. So. Good stuff. How's everything in Montana? Is that right? And Peter, how are things in Sweden? I'm going to go ahead while we are sitting here, see who else is going to join. I'm going to start cutting open some packages or some boxes and leaving the contents out here. A few of these that I really don't have any idea what is in them. It's been so long ago that they arrived. I know I've got some Signa sliders in this group. I believe at least 1. You guys know I'm constantly looking for a Signa slider that I haven't had before. And I would cut these open in front of the camera except for I just don't have the room. I have rearranged everything so that I have a little bit easier time setting up. Let me move a thing or two here real quick so I can get this package in front of the camera to show you. So that's what I was cutting open, and as soon as it popped open I could see the lighter. Which I would call that a good packaging job for sure, even though it wasn't really secured in and of itself. Just some big bubble wrap, no small Ziploc or anything like that, but definitely protected well enough. I am going to show you because this one was purchased, I believe, from, I'm going to draw a blank now. I'll have to look it up here in a minute. It says Shaverscombe, and the address in Hendersonville, North Carolina. That was the seller, and I believe this is a very well-known seller, but the name throws me off because that's not the name that I know of the person that's associated with that. But I just want to make note of that, and what lighter that is. We'll talk about this in greater detail here in a bit, and of course we'll have videos on all this stuff as well. But excuse me. And part of what I have, part of the way that I have this set up right now, I hope to have more versatility too, as far as turning the camera around. And this box, oh, here we go. And if I turn the camera around, I could give you a whole different perspective on this, but right at the moment I don't have all that set up. But hopefully soon I should have more versatility to record quicker, and also, like I said, from multiple perspectives, so maybe some different kind of videos. Another one. There should be, I believe, 3 lighters in this. So again, packaged very well. It's packaged very well as far as securing the lighters in the box. The recycled tissue paper and all that. That's all well and good. We'll see when we get into this how well they package this. The way that's wrapped that up, or the way that it is wrapped up, they may have separated each lighter with bubble wrap. If so, then I would call that sufficient. If not, then this is really, yeah, we'll go ahead and just check it while we got it here. Okay, so this lighter is separated from those two. This lighter is separated, so yeah, that is a Good job of packaging those lighters. They were not rubbing up against each other. We'll get into the details of those lighters here in a minute. I'm not trying to give away all the good stuff about the lighters that we got here. Feel free to ask your questions. I'm going to get back to the chat here in a minute. If you are new, let us know your name, where you're from, what got you into the hobby. This one is from a seller with the last name of Kutzler in Great Falls, Idaho. Looks like it's probably a single lighter. I'm going to have a story or two to tell about a few of these when I make the videos for them. Actually, the one that kind of the coolest story, and I look forward to being able to talk about, is the latest thing that I bought that's not actually, isn't even here yet. So this one was in a bubble mailer, and then just inside that in a Ziploc. So maybe not the most secure thing you ever saw, but should be plenty of protection. I like to have multiple layers of bubble wrap myself, but that's a decent enough packaging job. Not too much of a complaint there. I also have a package over here from a gentleman that sent me a lighter, told me that he tried to fix it, couldn't, and so he was just going to donate it to the channel. There's a couple of pretty cool postcards that I picked up at a local antique vendor mall. The bottom one of the Skirvin Hotel, and I would guess that's a pretty early depiction. I don't know if that's a photo or an artist rendering, but there were only 2 columns, 2 towers to it. There are 3 now. And then the other one there of the Petroleum Building, the First National Center. This First National Center has recently been refurbished, and I can't remember what this was called, something else different back then than what it is now. Anyway, skyline of Oklahoma City, what at the time they called skyscrapers. And I believe this is another postcard that I purchased off of eBay. Kismet, hello. Glad to have you with us, sir. Hope everybody's summer is going well. Now that's a little bit risky, smelling a postcard in an envelope like that, but you know, postcard is meant to be mailed, so I think they probably should have at least stamped it "Do Not Bend" so that nobody would carelessly bend it, but it made it okay. And there you can see the Skirvin, which this is a much later postcard than the first one, but still there are 3 columns there. Take a closer look at those later. I know from previously selling postcards on, or not postcards, sports cards on eBay years ago, that a lot of people mail sports cards the same way, mailing it as a first-class letter. When you want it protected, you really ought to be mailing it as a package, something rigid in there to protect it. Just my 2 cents from 25 years of service at the United States Post Office. And I'm not going to open the one that I talked about. I'll open the one that the guy sent that he said he couldn't repair in another video. That way we don't confuse what is what here. These are all things that I have purchased. And I'll also catch up on the chat here in a minute once I get all this stuff laid out here on the table. Maybe I'll get it all out of the box, get them laid out. Oh, this is a really cool item here. I'd forgotten about this. I won't even talk about this one yet. Well, I'm going to get this tape off here. This is a decent enough job of protecting it as well. Masking tape, easy enough to get a hold of and peel off here. And I think I can probably go ahead and unpackage this one and lay it out here on the table and still nobody be able to tell me what it is. We'll see. This is something that I had heard about, had been told about. And I'll give you some more context once we start looking at everything. Oh wow, this looks way better in person than it did in the pictures. But I'm just gonna sit that there like that and let you guys ponder if you know what that is or not. But that is an item that I had been told about from pretty early on in my excuse me, I don't know what's going on with my blended valves right at the moment, but early on in my postal career, people had talked about that item that you see right there in front of you. And I worked on some machines where that item was used, and it had never dawned on me until just a couple of weeks ago that I could probably find one of those to buy, just like we buy and sell all these old lighters. And so I looked them up, and sure enough there were about 5 or 6 of them for sale on eBay. They're all pretty expensive. The least expensive one was about $55 with shipping included. Here's another box. I don't have any idea what's in here. Hold on a second, let me get this all the way open. So again, another big box with plenty of bubble in the middle. And here's a little teaser for you. Let you see the box. Go ahead and unwrap that. Let you wonder what's inside of it. But anyway, I've been watching them for a few weeks now. This particular item. Has anybody guessed what it is yet? Striker of some sort? No, not a striker. Not a striker. Oh, I forgot. I've got a couple other. Let me go ahead and get this one open. I got another thing over there that I bought at a antique place. Let me know if that video, I haven't been looking at the screen. If somebody tries to call me, it'll disconnect me momentarily. But hopefully nobody tries to call. I tried to take precautions to let it be known what I was doing. This big box that you saw, oh yeah, that's right. So that is obviously very well protected. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of here. That's a really big bubble wrap. And you can see that it is an ashtray. We'll talk about what's on it here in a minute. I got one more thing, a couple more things. This is something else. I didn't pay much for this, but I'd never seen it before. It's a piece of advertising. The B&R manufacturer, or no, maybe not advertising. I thought it had advertising on it too. So not advertising, but it is marked by who made it. I assume is who that is. The B&R Manufacturing Company, New York. It was marked as a dime holder. Not sure if everything is there. Anyway, curiosity. Who else is here? I saw Mark Burris. Hello, Mark. Was watching Julia Child. Wow. Julia Child on YouTube. Hello, Viljami Saponin. Glad to have you back with us. You doubled your Zippo collection. What's your Zippo collection at now? Other one I bought at a local antique vendor mall, actually a place called the Co-op over at like 12th, 13th, something like that in May. It's one of the better places in town. And anyway, they wrapped this up real good. But this item was in a short video that we published a while back, and after taking that video of it, watching that video several times, I couldn't help myself. I had to go back and buy it for the price they had on it. Need to get that tape off there. I haven't cleaned it up or anything, but it is was it Lamberton? Yeah, Lamberton, China. Ashtray. The Stevens Hotel in Chicago, Illinois. Some imperfections in its production or the way it was made, whatever, but I don't really see any chips or anything like that. The color on it is lighter in a few areas, but it doesn't look like wear. It looks like it's just the function of however it's made or whatever. Really cool ashtray though. Definitely something I'll be keeping my eye open for more of. It was something I was ignorant of before I saw this one and made that video. I hadn't even turned over and see that it was Lamberton. I took their word for it off the tag and Googled that and found the information I needed for the video. But that's a really, really cool ashtray. And I assume these were made for many different hotels. I'm going to remove this from the table though, give you a good look at it because I don't want to knock it off here, bang something against it. I really need to start selling some ashtrays. I've got tons of ashtrays piling up around here. It's hard to decide what you're willing to part with, all this stuff being so cool though. Okay. So of course there'll be a detailed video. Talked about the Skirvin, these two postcards. Another one, different area in Oklahoma City, not too far away, a few blocks away. These two postcards depict the Skirvin. And here is a Safex ashtray for the Skirvin. So I found, I think this is maybe the third Safex that I've found with advertising, but the others had some blemishes. I don't know that this one has any blemishes. I have to look it over real close. Those letters are pretty thin, so there may be some areas where that L, the leg on that L may be a little bit of a blemish, but really cool ashtray. And this hotel is literally a block and a half from where I'm sitting right now. All right. So we concluded that everything was packaged there. That one was double bagged. So I think maybe I was giving them a hard time a little bit for not double bubble wrapping it, but it was double bagged. I'll have a little bit of a story to tell about that one when I make the video for it. Don't have the proper flint tension because there's not a flint in it. Doesn't look like. It needs to be pushed forward for that to latch. And it was probably that it was holding shut because the old flint, well, maybe not, because I believe the lid was up in the listing photo. So anyway, we'll talk about that in a moment. And we already basically unwrapped these others. Get these gloves off. Check in over here on the chat, see who all has joined us, if I've missed anyone. What are you guys partaking of today? Has anybody got a cup of coffee? Oh, that's what it was, Professor. You had that day. What was that stuff you were drinking? You can go ahead and enlighten everybody. You can teach them what you taught me in that video if you're still with us, Professor. Okay, live chat. Viljami says he's having tea. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so let me go backward here. We've got Viljami, Kismet, Mark, Junior Knife Collector. I think I already said Professor. If I didn't, I meant to. Oh, there you go, La Palma Yerba Mate. Peter Jackson. Peter has been pretty active of late in the DependableFlame.com Facebook group, and I appreciate that, Peter. I always appreciate folks posting over there. Professor said he has 8 weeks of videos all scheduled and ready to go. What kind of videos are we talking about, Professor? And when you say 8 weeks, is that one a week? Says the weather's been good there. Peter says the weather has been nice and sunny today in Sweden. Kismet joined. That's when Professor mentioned the yerba mate. Does the yerba mate, does that have caffeine in it, Scott? I was curious about that. Yeah, Kismet says always. Well, I'm hitting the. There we go. Always interested in how others film their content. Would be cool to see what you have come up with. Well, I'm basically in the corner of an apartment bedroom now, where in the past I was set up kind of in the middle of the room or on the edge next to the. I've just got it to where I can keep things a little bit more set up here. It's pretty much the same. I mean, you see the same background, you see the same Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson poster, the same marijuana propaganda, lighters sitting around in the background. Got my old man's ashes back there. Can't remember whether I've ever set those up there in a video or a live stream before, but those are, always up here with my all my personal belongings. And so anyway, yeah, I've got this set up to where it's a little bit more. I'm not having to set up as much each time. Uh, Professor and Kismet both mentioned the Nimrod. Yeah, I'm looking forward to those. Or that Nimrod. I've been wanting to. I've had a few of those, several. Oh, years now. Probably, golly, back when I was still living in Midwest City. Give me a second. I'll be right back. But our friend Rook Knight posted a video or not a video, some pictures in the OTLS Facebook group several years ago now, back in about 2020, maybe 2021, about how to disassemble a Nimrod. And I'd been looking for one ever since, trying to acquire one, just, hadn't found one at the right price. Found this group of 3 lighters. Go ahead and give you guys a look at those. There's an unmarked aluminum block lighter. Fuel screw seized up in it. The wick somewhat degraded, but I don't know if that's ever even been used. The wheel is turning, and it looks like there's a hex key for the flint screw, so probably on the underneath side of that. We'll have to see about getting that open. And then here is a fairly common pattern. There's a couple of sets that you can see with this engine turn pattern on eBay. Has been for a long time. I've got a version of the small one that's got a screwed up fill screw. Other than that, I think those are the only 2 with this pattern that I've ever owned. And this is really worn. But that'll be a fun Cygnus pocket lighter to fuel up and use. And then figure out what I'm going to do. Put it in my collection. Sell it to somebody. Now here was the interesting thing for me and why I purchased this lighter in the first place. I'll have to get back on eBay in a minute and look up that seller's name. It's the seller that Larry Leiter says is a crook. So you see how this one says made in Japan? And I've had a lot of them that said made in Japan. I've had several. The ones with the block lettering on the screw, it'll just say Japan rather than made in Japan. But notice what this one says. This is the only Cygnus I've ever seen that is actually marked made in occupied Japan. So when I saw that, I had to have it. This is going to have to sit in my collection. And I'll look up that listing here in a moment. Like I said, that is that seller. I can't. If it's the user that I'm thinking of, it is that same account that a guy by the name of Richie Weinstein or Richard Weinstein. I've seen people posting about this guy in the OTLS group. I bought from him here and there. I used to buy the Dunhill Blue Flints when those were available. The new old stock ones. See, that wick is somewhat degraded, frayed. Yeah, maybe not so much degraded as just cut sort of haphazardly. But if I can't believe I'm drawing such a blank on that username. But I know from looking at his listings, just as every one of his listings, he has rare listed at the end of it. Imagine that. Every lighter that guy sells is rare. But he also says every lighter, at least every lighter that I've ever bought from him, every one that I've ever paid attention to in the listing, I'm sure if he was selling one that wasn't, that he would say otherwise, but it says lighter sold in fully working condition. So, of course, we'll test that out. If it's sold in fully working condition, I would assume that the flint tube is clear and that it's got a flint in it. So, there you go. I don't know, that's a black looking flint. I don't know if that's something that would have been, so many of these lighters, when I have found them, the original flint was dust. I don't know if I've ever found one with the original flint, so I don't know if that black looking flint is what would have normally been in these. But anyway, it does look like, not sure why that's, I think that flint kind of got stuck on the little shelf there. And it's not letting the, there we go. So that'll be safe to spark now that we know that there's a, so there's two new Cygnuses that you see there going into the collection. Here is a Cygnus automatic version of it. Probably going to get some flint dust in my hand here, is my guess. Maybe not. So that lighter is obviously used, but does not have the proper tension on that roller. I guess you can kind of push it forward by hand. We'll get a video made for that lighter soon. And then trying to remember now what this one even is. I'm not positive. Oh, there we go. This was a lighter that I made an offer on. It's got engraving, Standard Vacuum Oil Company, Philippines, an enameled emblem. And I can't see it with my bare eyes. I know there's words on there. I think it says standard something. So I have to get photos and all that. So that is really cool. Same script stamp. No paperwork. Just the box. Well, if that's been used, it hasn't been much. May not have been used at all. Got the paper gasket. And even clear of spare flint. There's not a degraded old flint in there like you usually find. Can't believe that just fell off of there so easy. I have torn one or two of those up trying to get them off of a Cygnus fuel screw, and then that paper gasket literally was setting down on it like that, but just fell right off. So there's, wow, 4 new Cygnuses to add to our collection here. It may mean that some others need to be thinned out of it. Really cool though. So there was that hotel ashtray that we talked about. Got 6 lighters, that dime holder, and then this other item. Set that there like that and see if anybody can still tell me what it is, or if that helps at all. I went to work for the U.S. Postal Service in July of 1992, and I spent a few months out of a facility called the Annex out by the airport, Will Rogers World Airport, out at 59th and Portland. It's between May and Portland, but off of Portland in front of the building was. Okay, Kismet had guessed some kind of striker. Look back through here. Mark talked about Julia Child. Viljami Double. He's got 8 Zippos now. And some other vintage lighters. Cool. What other vintage lighters you got, Viljami? Kismet. We still live. Everything's still good. I hadn't looked at that screen in a while. Yeah, it did a little auto scroll on me there. Kismet says, love coins and coin related stuff. Such an interesting history. Yeah, I agree with that. I've actually got a coin I was going to make a video about. I need to, it's really the next video I'd planned. I need to find that coin. He says, interesting ashtray. Mark says, I honestly can't remember when I had 8 Zippos. I worked at a smoke shop. They had a reserve system for employees, layaway, I guess. Zippos accumulated quick. Yeah, I can see that. Basically paying for them out of your paycheck. Kismet commented on the Skirvin ashtray. And Mark commented that he would like to have an ashtray from the Hotel Monteleone in New Orleans. What's the significance of that hotel to you, Mark? Oh, Viljami says he's only 15, so it's harder to get lighters, but he can buy them from car junk sales and Tori, a Finnish marketplace. Okay, cool. So you live in Finland, Viljami? Did I know that already? I apologize if I did. Grab my coffee here. I haven't looked down the chat to see if anybody's identified that last item I set on the table. Um, Bill Jami says he got interested by YouTube and Histoire d'une Flamme. Yeah, Histoire d'une Flamme. Jad, he's a friend. He stops by from time to time on our live streams. You know, we're all friends on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. You know, there's this whole big wide world of vintage lighter content. So, yeah, search everybody out on all those other platforms as well, Viljami. Facebook, Twitter. I don't post to Twitter much these days. Haven't posted Twitter in a long time, actually. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video for the Zorro Z66. Last filling of it, which it'll hold about 8 droppers or so. And that last filling lasted me over 3 months. That seems crazy to me, a petrol lighter lasting that long. After using Zippos and other petrol lighters that barely last a week if you're lucky. But it does. It's good. Scott talked about the Yerba Mate. Histoire d'une Flamme. Okay, Scott says Yerba Mate is natural, has natural caffeine. It seems to process in the body different than other caffeine. So how would you relate that to like coffee, Scott? My Kismet said his dad has gotten into mushrooms. Yeah, I've my mother gave me some mushrooms for Christmas a couple years ago that you do up like coffee. Fabio Moscott, glad to have you with us. He asks, how many U.S. shipped Zippos do you have? I don't have any. I have had a few, but I've sold them all at this point. It's been a while since I had one. The last one that I remember having, I gave away. It was a lost proof that a guy got a hold of me and said he had served on that ship, and so I just sent him the lighter. I'm losing track of my stuff that I'm not sure where I've set everything. There we go. Stepping on it. All right, I'm going to try to hurry up and catch up with all this. The professor says upcoming videos are about ham radio, music, farming, ADHD, playing cards, video games, watches, shepherd sling. Yes, one video per week unless I record a root beer video review. The root beer review gets published regardless. I've seen a few of your root beer reviews too. I'm thinking of maybe starting to do some. As a matter of fact, I think the last time that we did a live stream, I did have a non-alcoholic beer while we were doing the live stream. But I have enjoyed a non-alcoholic brew a few times here lately. So I have toyed with that idea. I don't know. Kismet said that engine turn is subtle. Yeah, real. It's. I think the word would be worn. A brand new one, I think, would stand out a lot more than that. Mark Burris says, I tried for 3 hours one day to figure out how to take apart a Nimrod clone I had and gave up. I do have a wick out of one in great condition. Yeah, we'll see, Mark. Like I said, that was my plan. I've had a few of them, but I haven't had any since Rook Knight, which if you guys are interested in picking locks, lock sport, that kind of thing, you need to go check out Rook Knight's channel. He goes by some other names on Facebook, and I'm not going to say any of them because when I went to look for that old post where he had shown how to take the Nimrod apart, he was under a different name than what I knew him to be under before. And I'm just thick enough that it didn't even dawn on me that Rook Knight might not be his real name. Kismet commented on the professor's variety and video subjects. Mark Burris said, I think the flints Exotac used to sell were dang close to the blue flints, but alas, they started using Zippo flints. Those original flints sling a spark. Yeah, there are definitely different flints that are better than others. Yeah, it's always good to be well-rounded, right, Kismet? Kismet says, oh, so when I bought the Zorro Z666, I filled it with fluid when I got it. It still has fluid. I've used it off and on, but dang, what a neat lighter. Yeah, it holds some fuel, man, no doubt. Um, I'm not sure why this isn't updating like it should. Um, yeah, Mark agrees they hold fuel. Professor says he might have to get one. Oh, Kismet, you got the black. I like. I think the black would be cool. I like the red for. Well, what was the? I call that red. I saw it described. It wasn't brown. What did they describe that as? What does that look like to you guys? That look red? Burgundy? That's what I'd call it. Yeah, I would. I'd be interested to see though how if there's any difference in the way they wear. If one color, if blemishes stand out more than the other. I just tend to like color more than basic. We just bought a brand new car, and at one point it looked like the most convenient one that fit our needs might be red, and my wife didn't like that, but she's wanting black, silver, something more plain. I always like it to stand out a little more. Mark says he's still got a Titan light on the shelf wet with fluid after 3 years. Yeah, that's something there. Solar reflector lighter, Kismet. The item there on the table. It's not a solar reflector lighter. This is the first time I have ever held one of these in my hands. Like I said, I was told about these during early in my career. It was actually when I first went from I mentioned the annex, the Postal annex out at 59th and May, and when I first went downtown, which that plant would be sitting right in the middle of the lake at Scissortail Park right now, just to give you some perspective. Anybody who's familiar with Oklahoma City as it is today. And I'm down there keying on the LSMs, letter sorting machines. And that's when people started explaining this item to me. Yeah, I don't know what's. I hope everything is updating okay, but where I am monitoring this at, the chat isn't updating on me automatically. Professor says I don't drink coffee, but caffeine doesn't seem to affect me the same as most people. Comparing to Mountain Dew and energy drinks, I would say it is softer, less effective. We talked about that before. I don't drink caffeine. I will occasionally. I'll drink a Coke or something, but I wouldn't drink like a full strength cup of coffee or anything like that. Kismet says he's impressed with the Titan light. Viljami says he wishes he had one, but they're so expensive. Kismet says they are expensive, but they're so well made. The root Professor says root beer review goes out on Mondays. Other videos go out on Fridays. When I have a backlog of root beer videos, I put them out every other week. Okay, cool. I have a lockpick set. Need to make a video on that. Yeah. Have you checked out Rook Knight's channel there, Professor? Viljami says he can pick some locks with paper clips. Kismet said the red on the Z666 or burgundy is pretty unique. I just dig black usually. Yeah. Old Arp Henningsen has joined us. Hello, Old Arp. Hopefully you haven't been sitting there too long. I just kind of caught up on the chat here after unboxing and unwrapping everything you see here, plus a couple of ashtrays. Well, maybe not everything you see here. Everything you see there down on the surface of the table. Glad to have you join us. Glad to see you other than in the DependableFlame.com Facebook group or Instagram, TikTok, wherever. Are you on TikTok, Olarp, or just Instagram? Mark Burris says you can use a magnifying glass on char cloth or cedar bark. Use the ember to light up. Solar fire rules. No wasted resources. And then Mark says, I got my Titan lights way back when they were on sale at $45 each. So how much are they now, guys? How much is a Titan light? Just on Instagram for Olarp. Somebody mentioned, I think it was Viljami mentioned Eastwa Doon Flam a while ago. So we were talking about TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And I encourage everybody to get out there and follow all the lighter guys or gals. There's a few gals out there, especially on Instagram and TikTok. You see some of those lighters being shown off by people with long painted nails. So here you see, this is marked property, U.S. government. There's some okay, there's a marking which we may or may not X. Something Products Inc., Chicago, Illinois, 60647. We've got a little spring arm here. A little, is that a little rubber stopper? It does have a little rubber piece there. Interesting. Okay. So I imagine in some of these that would be worn, but it would still work without it. It's just maybe not going to have the snug fit you would want it to. This is an ashtray that was used on postal equipment. Here we were sitting out there, and by the time I was on those machines in the early 1990s, you couldn't smoke there. You could only smoke in designated break rooms, which there was only one on each floor downtown. And before long, they ran us outside, and you had to smoke outside. But people would tell me stories about these ashtrays and how you used to be sitting there keying letters at 50. You're keying 3 and 4 digits at 50 and 60 items a minute. The suction arm was sitting down there, flopping off in front of you. And this ashtray could be clipped to your workstation right beside you, and you could have a cigarette there burning in it. And then when you got up from keying, you take your ashtray with you and you could clip it to the back of the machine. These were giant machines. Hundreds of bins. I don't remember how many, but they sorted. You could sort multiple city zones on one machine at the same time. There were so many bins. Anyway, we'll do a more detailed video, but this is a Postal clip-on ashtray that you would have clipped onto the LSM, maybe some other, maybe your case. There was probably a place to clip it on at the case so you could sit there and smoke. But how interesting is that there was actually official government equipment that allowed you to smoke at work. Crazy. But I'm glad to own that. And, well, I won't talk about the price that I paid for it just yet. I'll talk about that. But like I said, once I realized that you could still buy those, that they were available on eBay, I started looking, and there was one that was $45 plus about $10 shipping, but it was in really rough shape. A lot of corrosion, a lot of missing plating. And then I got an offer, or no, I didn't get an offer. There was just suddenly one that was posted for a very reasonable price, and I just bought it. I don't think I even made an offer. I just bought it. Okay, let me go back up here. Okay, old ARP says, yeah, just Instagram. Kismet says, I have the County Com titanium housed magnifier. I took it out the first time and immediately had smoke coming off of out. You're saying it's so powerful that it you literally have to be careful what kind of light's shining through it. Kismet. Mark Burris says $60 to $70 to buy the Titan light. Kismet confirmed 70-ish. Professor says Rook Knight has some cool looking videos. I'll watch some later. Yeah, he's got a really cool channel there. He's got a really cool background set up, and I don't know a whole lot about picking locks and all that, but Rook's a neat guy, and like I said, he posted that video years ago about taking a Nimrod apart, so that was mainly, of course, I was interested. I got those 3 lighters for a pretty affordable price. I'm always keen to add another Cygnus for an affordable price. And that is missing both its gasket and the spare flint compartment, which fairly common when you find these lighters in used condition. The more used, the more likely they are to be missing, especially the spare flint compartment. Flint tension mechanism working good there. I believe this is the 4th automatic version that I've had in my collection. I'm just noticing this one's just marked Penguin Cygnus. So funny the difference in markings of some of these lighters. The ribs are wider on the automatic version than they are the regular version. I also recently purchased some paperwork, box and paperwork for an automatic Cygnus. It was listed on eBay. That'll make an interesting video when I get that. I made an offer, kind of explained. They had the wrong lighter in the box, so I just kind of sent them a message. They sent me an offer, and I sent them a message back. I'd sent them an offer before that they rejected. That was months ago. So when they sent me the offer this time, I sent them back another. I think it was an identical offer. Actually, I think it was $1 less than the offer I'd made last time. But I explained it, why I wanted it, and what, the whole situation with it. And we'll see. I'll be glad to. I appreciate that seller accepting the offer. And I'm not even interested in the lighter that was in the box for that price. I just wanted the box and the paper. So crazy. Here I am buying boxes and papers. I don't care for ephemera. I don't care for handling it. It's really cool to see. It's really cool to have all the information. I love getting that information and getting it uploaded to the website. I love being able to post all that stuff on social media and use it in videos and stuff like that. But the OCD part of me, the germophobia part of me, hates that paper. Yeah, so Kismet figured it out. I think before I posted it or before I said it, clip on ashtray. So yeah, I thought about that. It's crazy to me that here I've been in this hobby for since 2006, late 16 or 2017, around that time, and had never dawned on me to look one of those up. Mark Burris, talking to Kismet, said he uses an 8.5 by 11 page magnifier. Sounds really big, Mark. Kismet, talking about Fresnel lenses. Shepherd's lighters and ropes. You're talking about fusees? Those are cool. I've owned, well, I guess I've only owned one. Dunhill windproof. Okay, so I guess the bigger the magnifier, the easier it is to start a fire with it. Something like that, you'd need to be careful on a hot sunny day out in a pasture. Might as well be carrying around fire. Wow, time flies. We're already in over an hour here. Anybody got any projects or planning? Any questions about repair? Anybody hanging out in the chat that hasn't waved their hand, said hello? Let us know where you're from and what it is about old lighters or petrol lighters or tobacciana, ashtrays. Oklahoma is a legal medical marijuana state, and I know that over half the country is the same way in either medical or rec or both. So that's something we care about here too, if anybody wants to talk about those kind of things. I'm becoming more and more interested. You saw the postcards of Oklahoma City. I'm becoming more and more interested, and just by virtue of searching eBay, definitely becoming more knowledgeable about the history of downtown Oklahoma City. That's been very interesting to me. I've lived my whole life, not my whole entire life. I lived when I was a baby. We were in Alaska. My dad was in the Army. Um, but that was, like we moved up there when I was barely born, and back here by the time I was maybe, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, wasn't very long. The rest of the time I've lived in Oklahoma my whole life. Lived in Del City as a child. Grew up in Midwest City, went to school at Carl Albert High School, so basically the suburbs of Oklahoma City. There are a half a dozen or more other suburbs that I can name off as well. But now I live right here in Deep Deuce, which is nestled up right beside downtown. A lot of people would call it downtown, sort of part of Bricktown. But like I said, right on the other side of Broadway, right on this other side of the railroad tracks from the Skirvin Hotel, which we walk by on a regular basis. We have been there with friends and family over the years for things that were going on, people that were staying there, high school reunions, funerals, different life events. So anyway, there are other buildings which have been torn down, which it's kind of hard to figure out exactly where they were at, but by looking through these old postcards and photos that you can find online, you know, you can kind of piece together where some of these things that people talk about, where they used to be. Like the Biltmore Hotel or Beverly's Chicken in the Rough. Places that, well, actually, those are two things right there that were on the address. It was on Grand Avenue, which doesn't even exist anymore. And hopefully, if I'm wrong here, somebody could be watching and correct me. But from what I pieced together from postcards, photos, other photographic and ephemeral evidence on eBay, Grand Avenue is what, or was what is now Sheridan, which goes right through the heart of Bricktown. It's an interesting advertising lighter to me. There's two panels, the enameled emblem looks so new, barely used if at all, and the engraved advertising, but the front being blank. Normally you would think that the advertisement would be on the front. Trying to remember now, Mark, you talking about these magnifiers. I was, what was it? I had a question. Was that during a live stream or one of the videos that I published recently? But it was a question where I knew that you and a couple other guys would know the answer to, but I didn't know the answer at the time. Kismet says Indiana was the last state to allow liquor sales on Sunday. I feel like they will be the last to allow medical and certainly recreational. Yeah, Oklahoma already shot down recreational once, which I think it would have been a good thing. But the way that we legalized medical was so ingenious and propped the market up immediately. And then basically let the government deal with regulating it after the fact. So at least it worked that way for patients, but there has been some blowback because of it. There's been a lot of illegal activity, illegals taking advantage of the situation, and just about from every aspect, from growing it to bringing it in out of state to selling bad product. I just off the top of my head, I can think of two situations. One, a dispensary where the owner and his family were murdered shortly after legalization, right after they had opened it. one of the over on the northeast side, one of the very first dispensaries that opened, and then another at a grow operation up around Kingfisher, where there were seemed like two or three. Um, and I'm not even sure what this means, but it seems like they were described as Chinese nationals. I guess that means they are Chinese citizens, but they were whatever working here. I don't know if they had the proper credentials to be working here or whatever, but there were several people murdered, two or three people murdered up there in some kind of incident over a marijuana grow. So, but I hear you. We were the same way, Kismet. We've talked a lot about my alcoholism. I'm well versed in making sure that I did not run out of alcohol, and you couldn't buy liquor. You could buy 3.2 beer at the grocery store, and even some places though, you couldn't buy 3.2 beer between like 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Strange rules. But they finally got it now where liquor stores are open and um, open on Sunday, and they sell full strength. There is no 3.2 beer in Oklahoma anymore, and all those laws. The blue laws is what they were called. Kismet says he has a project he is working on, actually replacing an insert in a Windmaster. What's the issue with your Windmaster, Kismet? Mark says, yep, think there's about 150 ways to start a fire. It's a study. Oobla doobla, Dylan. Glad to have Dylan DePie with us. Is it your lunchtime, brother? Happy Friday to you. Yep, hanging out here in Deep Deuce. Title Town, they call it now. You know? Oh, yeah, I know you're not supporting alcohol. I know that. I'm just commenting on the those blue laws were always very interesting to me. It never made any sense. I mean, like people weren't smart enough. I guess that was the deal. If you were going to get drunk on Sunday, they weren't going to let you buy it on Sunday. They were going to make you prepare for it, which I certainly prepared for it. I was never going to run out on a Sunday. What's been going on with the Zippo Mafia, Dylan? Has there been a ZF77 Outdoors stream lately? I kind of hopped into one here maybe a month ago on a Friday night for just a minute. About the time I got in there, then my wife got my attention, and I got distracted and never got back. Kismet says the old insert was in less than stellar condition. I found a new old stock pipe insert. Oh yeah. So you're gonna have to figure out the lid. Yeah, I think we talked. Did you comment on my video about that? That you had an idea for the tool, right? Somebody, it may have been you, commented about how I could have made my tool a little bit better, and I agree. When I made it was like I just bent things before I really thought it out, and it worked, but it wasn't as user friendly as it could have been or should have been. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Well, I really hate to hear that, um, but I'm certainly familiar with that. I'm certainly familiar with that malady. But no, I didn't. I didn't know he was having any problems. So um, I wish him well. I'll pray for him, and I hope that he's. I hope he's able to get back I mean, obviously we all enjoy his content, but just that he's healthy and happy, and life is good. That doesn't sound good when you say he was in the ER for a while. Okay, well, good to know. Good to know, Scott. Thanks for you and Dylan passing that on. I didn't realize that. So has that just been here in the last few weeks? Am I wrong? Wasn't there a stream here about a month ago? Maybe time has passed on me a little bit faster than I realized. Oh, you got a lockpick that may be shaped that way? Maybe you already got you a pre-made tool. That'd be awesome. Oh, I see what you're saying, Mark. I was really confused by your comment there. I was having to try to parse that. And okay, what you're saying is you use bourbon for cooking to put it in hot sauce baking. Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem using it for that. No, um, I just I pretty much everybody around me drinks. I'm not a killjoy. But I do want if anybody asks me, this channel, it's kind of I kind of look at this as you know whatever little platform I got, and I do want to make sure people understand that you know if you've got a problem with alcohol, if if you it may be one thing, people can maybe go out and have maybe have too much to drink and you do something that's out of character and you think, well, that's just out of character, that wasn't me. But if that happens 2 times, if it happens three, it's probably a good time to go ahead and tell yourself maybe drinking is a problem for me, because I'm just telling you, um, those kind of things don't normally stop until the drinking stops. If you're a young person, maybe, but if you have to make a habit of apologizing to people for things you did while you were drinking, you probably want to go ahead and stop. And the bad thing is that as hazardous as it is to you socially, because you will, burn a lot of bridges, or at least try to burn them down. As bad as it is, to that part of your life, it's also destroying you physically. So it's life is better without it, and that's really all I'm trying to get across. Anybody that can drink and enjoy it and have fun, and it's not a problem for them, great. I don't begrudge that to anybody. But for, like I said, those people who have definitely had a problem, I quit drinking. Uh, well, December. I had my last drink December 13th of 2016. So come December, that'll be 9 years ago. So over 8 years, and I've just recently, discovered non-alcoholic beer, and I really enjoy it. I've had some people look at me weird. They don't understand it. Why would you drink? What's the purpose of that? But I can just drink this and enjoy drinking it, not suffer the effects of what the alcohol would do to me, and I still kind of have something that I can partake in socially. So I've enjoyed that lately. Um, so yeah, I'm not a complete killjoy, just a little bit, just enough that I want to make sure everybody knows that I don't condone it. That alcohol is, well, it's a liar. It'll make you think that up is down and down is up and turn your whole world upside down. Mark says, oh, 30 years ago I knocked the bottom out of a few rum bottles, but I cut that out quick. Yeah. Well, I guess that's the thing, you know. Maybe some people are, they're not quite as thick as me. I didn't drink when I was a teenager. I started just shortly before my 18th birthday. And I drank pretty hard from the time I was 18 till I was about 21. And then I quit, and I didn't drink again until I was about 27. And then I just kind of drank here and there for a little bit, but pretty quickly it became a problem, and it was a problem for me to varying degrees for the next 17 or 18 years. So, anyway. By God's grace, there is life. There is good life to be lived without it. So, for anybody that is under the spell of alcoholism and who just can't get past the idea of not having a drink tonight, just, you're going to quit tomorrow. You're going to do it again tonight. And that just keeps happening day after day after day. Just know what's waiting for you isn't bad. It's better. So, forget how long you said that was it Titan light? You said it had been sitting there for 3 years, Mark. I used this one pretty generously during that 3-month period. I put it in my pocket several times, carried it out to light up a joint, and it's really good. It works pretty well in the wind. But after getting acquainted with petrol lighters through Zippos and other vintage lighters, which, Ronson pocket lighters, maybe a month or so, they'll hold them a little bit better. They'll hold that fuel a little bit better. But most, you just learn not to worry about evaporation. So it's just really cool to me to suddenly have this lighter in my hand that I can use it and it's still going to last a long time. It does seem kind of like a trick when you first get a Zippo and you fill it up, you use it, and then the next time you go to use it, it's empty. And you think, what's going on? I mean, it seems completely foreign to everybody who ever fills up a Zippo the first time that it would evaporate its fuel in a matter of days, but it does. But every joint is sealed. If not sealed, at least you've got the spring tension of the snuffer up here against the wick. You've got the O-ring around the rectangular base. You've got the O-ring on the thread of the small thread of the fuel screw. Then also there's an O-ring on the screw that's holding the base on. Nothing but improvements as far as this lighter goes. Hello, Ryan Adams. Glad to have you with us today. Mark says it's flat too expensive to be an alcoholic on the stuff I enjoy the taste of, so I don't do it anymore. Yeah, well, I was a big fan of Evan Williams. And then toward the end, it was Black Velvet apple whiskey. 70 proof, apple flavored Black Velvet, just straight over ice. And I've told this story before, probably on a live stream, but I know in a video. When I first quit drinking in May of 2016, before I fell back into it that fall, I was using marijuana to help wean me off of it. And I thought I was going to run out. I couldn't get a hold of my connection. I thought I was going to run out. This was before legalization here. And I kind of got nervous, and I went to the liquor store and I bought a bottle. I poured it over the ice. Poured it over the cup of ice that I got at 7-Eleven. And that taste, I hadn't drank it for 3 months at that point. And that taste, when that whiskey hit my tongue, it tasted like pure poison. It was foreign. It was not the same pleasure that it had been 3 months before. I knew that was foreign to my body. I knew it was terrible for me. Where I had eased into it before, it's like God had given me the gift of tasting that liquor for what it was. And I should have known right then and there. But I didn't. And that was like August. And then by December I had burned out again. Anyway, sorry that it came to that, but I'm glad that I don't drink anymore. If it had to come to that, I'm glad it did. Ryan asked, what's the next best lighter under Dunhill? Man, Dunhill's good. Thorns is good. Thorns are some of my favorites. So I might say Thorns would be next. I'm looking around. I've got a Thorns table lighter around here somewhere, but I'm not very organized right at the moment, Ryan. That's the only Thorns lighter I have at the moment. But if you actually want me to tell you what I think is the best, I might tell you that the Cygnus. Of course, this is the Zorro newly manufactured copy of the vintage Cygnus, but I've got 4 old Cygnuses down here on the table. We will typically identify a Cygnus by the unique flint tension thumb roller mechanism. So I think they're pretty good, Ryan. But there are others. Nimrods are good. That Nimrod pipe lighter you see there. Of course, Nimrod made a couple of different styles of pipe lighters. And, you know, if you ask Olarp or Kismet or Scott or Dylan, Dylan will tell you it's a Zippo. Mark will probably tell you it's a Titan light. Just to give you guys a heads up, there was a battery warning there a minute ago, so I'm not trying to hang up right now, but we've been going for 90 minutes. I started with like a 92% battery. Maybe we can get 2 hours in. I don't know, maybe not. We'll get to the 10% warning and then see how it's going, who all's still here. Hello, Solmaz. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Solmaz Paknahal. He says, hi there. Thanks for your videos. Quick question. Can you smoke green with kerosene decanter table lighter? Are you asking me if you can smoke marijuana with a kerosene decanter table lighter? I've got a couple of questions here. One, is that what you're asking? Are you talking about smoking marijuana when you say smoke green? Cannabis? A medical product? Okay, yes. And secondly, when you say kerosene decanter table lighter, are you talking about actual kerosene, or are you just talking about petrol lighters? Actual kerosene, or are you referring to petrol lighters as kerosene lighters? I only ask because I see that on eBay. I know that there's, I don't know if that's a cultural thing, if that's a marketing thing, but there's certain places where you see petrol lighters described as kerosene lighters. Which I understand that you can put kerosene in there, but I don't think I would smoke anything off of a wick that was burning with Okay, so when you say the Ronson lighter, you're talking about a petrol lighter, not burning kerosene through your petrol lighter. In that case, yeah, I smoke marijuana with this petrol lighter all the time. And like I said, medical marijuana is legal here in this state. I do have a card. I have had my card since December 2018. I think they started issuing cards by law in either August or September of 18. And dispensaries started opening up that fall, but there really wasn't much product until it was about late November when I started seeing advertisements, and that's when I went and got my card. It looked like there was actual product that could be bought. But yeah, you can definitely, there are people that complain about lighting their joint or their cigarette off of butane, and there are people that complain about lighting it off of petrol. I've never noticed anything negative from either one, and I've sucked in plenty of both into pipes and trying to light up blunts and cigarettes and whatever else that didn't want to readily light up. But absolutely, I would say that cannabis, uh, actual smoking, whether it be you know typical rolling up in a paper or a cone or pipes, bowls, whatever it is, if you're actually burning the cannabis, I think that petrol lighters are a terrific choice. Mark says, yeah, American kerosene is not palatable at all. It's heavy, oily stuff. Yeah. I can't imagine even wanting to put it in my pocket after. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Kismet. The cultural kerosene. There we go. So I hope that answers your question, Somez. If you don't mind me asking, if you're still here, what brought you to the channel? What is it about either the green stuff or the kerosene lighters that brought you here to this live stream? Yeah, I've used a hemp wick from time to time too. Still got some of that somewhere around here, Kismet. Yeah, that's a good point. Hemp wick is a good product. I feel like I need to add some. Got some spots here that I need to fill in. When I first started this, I was trying to put these cool images up in the background. See if I can do this without turning anything over or wasting anything. So I've had, like, this postcard was sent to me. That's Will Rogers Memorial Museum in Bartlesville, Claremore, I'm sorry. That was sent to me by an Oklahoma seller that I bought a lighter from. Got some cannabis propaganda there in the background. Some old photos that I just thought were cool. Some lighter ephemera. Copies that were made of paperwork. Came with lighters when they were purchased originally. But after, oh man, it's been a long time. Other than that short, well, I busted it up into 3 vertical shorts. I recorded it vertically. I don't know. YouTube's always encouraging me to do things vertically, so and they've also lately been encouraging longer shorts. So I busted up that video. I think because I don't like, for some reason, I can't create new categories for my channel anymore. or they've changed the way that you do that. So if I can, I need to go back and figure out the way to do it. But I would like to create a category for newly manufactured lighters. The lighters that, or the videos that I've been making for this lighter, I've just been filing under vintage petrol lighters or whatever that heading or category is. But this isn't vintage. This is brand new. So I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea. So I think from now on I will post every video that I make on this lighter as a vertical short, and that way it doesn't get added to a category, and then there's not any confusion. Or hopefully that would keep there from being confusion, or less confusion anyway. I really do love this lighter though. It's awesome. I was hoping Friedrich would join us today. But I am glad for all of you that have joined us. And we'll try to sneak these in here and there as we can. I'm glad to get all this stuff. It's not a ton of lighters, half a dozen or so lighters, some ashtrays, but glad to get it all unpacked. And there's our 10% battery warning. Kismet says, I've always liked your background. Very comfy feeling. Haha. Yeah. Yeah, I've always liked it. Like I said, I wanted it to kind of feel like we were hanging out in the garage, like we were hanging out in the shop. I grew up hanging out in the garage with my dad with, automotive decals stuck all over his tool chest. Drawing a blank on the right word. Things like that. Very nostalgic for that kind of stuff. So, in one way or the other, probably everything I do here, even though my dad wasn't real big on, most of his life he was really negative on marijuana. By the end, he didn't talk a whole lot about that kind of stuff, but toward the end, I don't think he would have had the problem with it that he did when we were younger. But he definitely did not like that. He was to him that was dope, that was drugs, and that's just not the case. That's just ignorance because you don't know, and sometimes people are scared what they know. And back then, the government was telling everybody it was dope, that it was dangerous and all that. So. But anyway, he would have loved the mechanical part of this, taking old lighters that aren't working anymore and getting them working. He would have loved that. And just about every bit of that is influenced in one way or another by him. So I appreciate all you guys joining us. I appreciate the conversation. Appreciate you hanging out over at the DependableFlame.com Facebook group. Seeing all of you guys in all the different groups. Vintage lighters and matches. Zippo addicts. The Deal or No Deal page. I always like keeping an eye on those Deal or No Deal pages. And then like we talked about earlier, not just Facebook and the groups, but Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I don't know. Twitter doesn't seem very lighter friendly to me. It doesn't seem very video friendly. But I don't know, maybe somebody has better success or better following over there than I do. Let us know where you're posting your lighter content. Yeah, Kismet was welcoming Somaz. I hope you will join us again, Somaz. And I'll try to do these as regularly as possible. They will definitely not be on Wednesdays or Thursdays, but keep your eyes open. I should be able to keep some more videos published on a daily basis, weekly basis, full length and shorts. And yeah, I look forward to interacting with you in all those ways and places, in every way that we can. And of course, if you got lighters to show off, you should create your own channel. I'd love that. But you can always post over on the DependableFlame.com Facebook group. We'd love to see you show off any of your lighters, any projects you need help with, questions, whatever it may be. There's a good group over there. Usually somebody's answering, trying to help before I can even get over there and answer a question. Kismet says, I actually used to look down on marijuana. Then I tried it, and it has helped quite a bit. Yeah, that's exactly I was the same way. I was negative about it growing up. But no, I'm not negative about it anymore. I don't see anything negative about it. Like my buddy Shane used to say, the only thing that negative that's going to happen from you smoking marijuana is you getting arrested. And thankfully, that's not quite as prevalent as it used to be. I appreciate all of you though, and we'll catch up soon. We'll see you in the weekly, daily videos, and hopefully another live stream soon. Until next time.